welcome back to Same Right Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. So here on this channel I'll be showing you how to draft or how to make this beautiful lace dress right there on the thumbnail with beautiful flounces. So I'm starting right from the scratch to show you, starting from my basic bodies pattern I've made. This is the shoulder and this is the chest and this is the bust point, this is the under bust point and the waistline. So I'll be explaining what I have here. This is my 2 inches bust dart and my 1.5. From here to here is 1.5 and I shared it 0.75, 0.75. So the first thing I want to do to start off the drafting of this dress is to divide my shoulder seam line by 2. So if I divide my shoulder seam line, here is my midpoint. Next, I'm going to connect that midpoint to the bust point. So whatever your size is, whether you're on the plus size or you're on the small size, if you follow this particular drafting, you'll be able to get this dress the way it is right there on the thumbnail. So what we are making here is a princess dart. So because we are making a princess dart for this dress, I'm going to take my armhole. I drop my shoulder by 1 inch, and from that point of my armhole, I'm going to take my shoulder to measure my armhole from this point. I'm going to measure it this way, that way. Okay, so here I have 10.25. So half of 10.25, I'm going to divide half of it, and this is what I have. I have about 5 and I'll make a mark. From there I'll come down by 1 inch and I'm going to place my pattern ruler this way. I want you to see how I place my pattern ruler. On the bust point, I'm going to allow it to come back to this point, and from here I'll come out by 0.5. Okay, so once I come out by 0.5, I'm going to connect back. Can you see? So you can do 0.5 or 0.75. Okay, so at that point I've created my princess dart. So next is to contour my underbust. On the underbust line, provided you've taken the underbust measurement very firmly, I'll be placing my tape on the center front of my underbust, and from there I'll measure my underbust, divide by 4. This is what I have, divide by 4. So for you to achieve this underbust contour line, you need your dart intake at 1.5. so by the time you add it here, okay, like my waist here is 36 divided by 4. This is 9 inches. So you can see my 1.5 inch dart intake, which I replaced. So here I'll measure my underbust from the center front, divide by 4. My underbust is 35, divide by 4. This is the mark, 8.75. What I have here left, I'm going to impute here 0.25, and the rest of what is left, I'll put it on this side. So here from the outer dart leg must be 0.25. So I'm placing my my pattern ruler back to meet. You can see how the shape of the bust is. I'll flip my ruler again this way, and I'll do this as well. So once I do that, I'll just come in here and connect back. I'll come back and connect. So doing this, we've already gotten the contour bust line. So the next is the neckline. How are we going to get this particular neckline? For this particular neckline, I will advise you to come in by 1 inch, or let me say 1.5, so it doesn't have that full 4 effect. Next is to get your bust radius. Okay, so my bust radius is from here, the bust point line, to here. I have 3.5. So that 3.5, I'm going to rotate it around. So this is going to guide me on the point at which I'm going to create this neckline, so my bust is not exposed. So right here, I'm going to place my tape on the nip of my neck. Okay, which you can also do that for yourself. And I'm going to mark 4 inches. So let me assume what I have there is 4 inches for this neckline. So at this 4 inches mark, I'll place my tape on the shoulder line, and here I have 7.25. I'll place on the shoulder line here, I have 7.25. So I'm going to make like a dotted line on this line. Okay, I'm making like a dotted line on this line, and from this line I'll take it to the 1.5 line as well. So what I'm trying to do is to create this beautiful neckline. Then I'll now come in with my ruler and sit this ruler to touch this line and to touch this line. Okay, sorry about that. So here I have this neckline you are seeing right there on the thumbnail. Okay, so it's just a U neckline, but then I see my bust coming out. Okay, so that is why you need to make your bust ready. You can see the points I made. I see my bust coming out. So since I see my bust coming out, from this line I'll just go up again, maybe with 0.75, so I don't expose my bust. So here I'll just take my 0.5 with dotted line again, back to this 1.5, and I'll sit my ruler once again this way, and finally I get what I wanted. So you can see my bust is now in. So if you just want your bust to cover a little more, you can keep coming up, you know, till you get what you want here on the paper. So at the end of the day, you don't finish making this dress and everywhere is open. Okay, so now I'm going to cut, believing you understand my explanation to this particular dress. So I'm going to cut. I'll cut on the waistline, I'll cut on the center front line, so this is what your pattern is going to look like. And then I'll go ahead this way and cut my princess dart. So I'll cut off my pattern right now. Okay, so I take off this and I'm going to close up my bust dart. So I'm closing my bust dart right away. Alright, so here is it, and this is what you have for this dress. So still on the neckline, you remember from the tip of the armhole I came in by 1.5. You can also do 2 inches if you don't want it too open. And from the nip of my neck I took about 4 inches. You can just measure your neckline to be sure. Okay, just measure the person you are making the dress for to be sure that from the nip of the neck this is actually what you want. Looking at my bust, you can see my bust radius, and this is where it is. So I just have a little inches for my bust to come out. Okay, so if you want to close it a little more, you can keep coming up, coming closer. The more you come this way and come this way, just make sure you have what you want on paper before you cut on fabric. So what I have here, I'm going to cut on fold. So I set this aside, and I want to talk about the armhole, the sleeve for this dress. So the sleeve of this dress, I'll just quickly demonstrate the sleeve. You need a basic sleeve. So if this is your basic sleeve, I'll just cut my basic sleeve the way we normally cut it. This is it, and you just cut it to your desired shape. So I've gotten my basic sleeve. I have my front, I have my back. So what I'm going to do now is to take the measurement of the ruffles I want to sew. So I'm going to sew my ruffles here. Then I'll now come in here and make marks the way you want your basic sleeve to go. Just keep your ruffles to go. Just keep marking. You can see what I'm doing with my chalk, and maybe it terminates at that point. So what I'm going to do is to place my tape on my basic sleeve. From one end, I'll just take my time and measure. You can see what I'm taking, my measurement. Once I get here, I have 17 for that one. So I will just jot it down, 17. I'll come back here from where the next ruffle will start. I'll measure up to this point. I'll also turn my tape, measure. I'll keep measuring, I'll keep measuring, I'll keep measuring this way, that way. You can see till I get here. So I have 52. So for all of this is 52 inches. So we are going to have a little calculation on how we are going to cut these ruffles. So for these ruffles, I have 52 plus 17, which I just measured now. Here I have 69. This 69, because I'm going to pleat my ruffles, I'm going to multiply by 3. So 69 multiplied by 3 will give us 7. 3 times 6 will give us 18 plus 2, that is 20. So I'm going to cut 207 lengths of fabric. Okay, I'm going to cut 207 length of fabric times I'll cut 2 of it, or I'll just cut a whole length, but the width I'm going to multiply the width. So this is how to achieve this. So the 207 now, let me take off this so I can explain this appropriately. So this is the length of my fabric of the 207. Of course, you still need to join and join and join. So I'll just fold it by 2, my fabric, before I cut. So if I fold it by 2, it depends on how the width of your fabric, that is your flange, you want it to be. If you want it at 3.5 inches, this is it. So 3.5 inches on fold will give you 7 inches. So this 7 inches, 3.5 is on fold, and I'm cutting. So if your fabric is not enough, just go ahead and add and repeat what I did. So the next thing you are going to do now is this is my crinoline. So I'll open up my fabric this way. Then I'm going to place my, put it together this way, and I'll secure with my pin. I'll just go ahead on my machine. I'm going to sew following the tip of this neatly. Okay, so as I'm sewing, you can see the crinoline is in between. So I just place it right there. You can see I'm seeing the crinoline. I'll just follow that line ahead, and I'm going to sew. So by the time I sew down my crinoline, okay, so I'm believing, or I'm pretending I've sewn down my crinoline. Of course, you know how to sew it. The crinoline will give you that rigidity. So by the time you start pleating it, you have the result right there. So what I'm going to do now, I'll now bring back my basic sleeve with my 207 inches. I'll first come and sew. I might just start sewing from the one below. Okay, so as I'm sewing, I'm pleating. So you need to be creative on it. You just spread and keep pleating, you know, till you go around. So for this one, so you can also decide to first of all pleat your 207 length. You can decide to make your desired pleat. If you are making kissing pleats or you want to make box pleats, you can just run your pleating. But while you are doing that, ensure you have your pleats, okay, measurement exactly at 52 and exactly at 17. So you can even multiply by 4 or 5 so you have enough ruffles. So you start sewing this from here. Okay, once you are done pleating, you can just bring it back and sew. Can you see? So as I'm sewing it, you can see I'm already having the ruffles. So I'll just sew like that till I get here. Then for this, I'll just place my pleats on the same armhole line. Okay, so I just pleat in on the same armhole that way, the way I just desire to pleat. So by the time I'm done, I'll go ahead and close up the size of this, turn it around and put it back into the bodies, okay, to form this beautiful pleats you are seeing right there on the thumbnail. So that is how you are going to cut your pleats. So this kind of ruffles is not the type you cut make flounces for. So we just made a straight, you know, pleating with it with crinoline. So thank you for coming once again to this class. And if you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell to receive videos like this every day. Like this video, share to family and friends, drop your comment on the comment section and your suggestions as well. Thank you for coming and see you in the next class. Bye.